Hello, welcome back to Stashbusting. Let me have a slug of my tea. Where did we get to in the last episode? So previously the stash total was at 124 50-gram balls of wool. And I do think my goal is to try and get under 100 again. And once I get under 100, I will think about where I want to go with this project then. But I think for now, we need to get back under 100. When I last spoke to you, we were in the middle of the heat wave, the seemingly multiple heat waves we've had this year in the UK. And I will not accept any remarks about the ridiculousness of the UK not being able to cope in the heat. Thank you very much. I will remind you that I'm also disabled and have multiple health conditions which are negatively impacted by hot weather. So my circumstances, regardless of everybody else not being able to cope, a heat wave is serious for me. And so I have to do a lot of extra symptom management to just make it through the days. So one of the things I was unable to do as a result of the heat was work on the Aran cardigan that I've been making for my partner Woody. I'll come back to that, but before we get there, what I wanted to show you was actually the progress I've made in really not very long on the 1940s 2-ply weight cardigan I've been working on. The pattern is Best Way 2669. She can't remember. 2559. My apologies. Looks like this. And I went for this project because I've got a lot of 2-ply in my stash to use up. Now, I think I'd done the ribbing. Yes, I'd completed the ribbing. Ooh, sorry love, you okay there? For the back, the last time we spoke. And in a few short days, the back is complete. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. I'm so excited to start on the fronts, basically. So this is a feather and fan stitch. Got these what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4 colour repeat, and then the neutral shade. So these were all 2-ply cashmere that I got from a charity sale. An old lady in the village was going into a care home and her sons were destashing her craft supplies. And so it was sort of donations to charity and take what you want. And I scored a lot of stuff. I did give I did also give generously to the charity, just, you know, before you think I'm an evil person. So these came from that sale, but I've also had in my stash for the longest time a massive cone. I bought this at a yarn festival called Unravel, which is in Surrey. I went in person and I went specifically looking for 2-ply yarns to make vintage 2-ply projects with, and this was the only store that I could find. So this came from a company called Uppingham Yarns. Their website is hilariouslywoolls.co.uk, which I think how they scored that domain name, I don't know. But this is 2-ply lamb's wool and it's got the count and everything. But the thing with this yarn is because it's lamb's wool, and he explained it to me when I bought it, it blooms basically. So it's still got a lot of lanolin in when it's spun. So it's even finer than 2-ply at this point, and then you wash it and the lanolin washes away and it blooms. Oh dear, we're gonna have to stop filming. A new day. What I was telling you about was the fact that this 2-ply yarn is even finer than the white is finer than the others, but that's because when you wash it, when you block it, it blooms and it fluffs up, so it will match. But it's so dreamy and lightweight and soft, combined with the softness of the cashmere. Oh, this is going to be a really special make for me. I mean, you might not agree. So that's the Best Way cardigan. Doing a lot of cardigan knitting at the moment. And then this is Woody's cardigan, the Aran one. So here's the front. His gun looks so good. However, I knitted this one, obviously, first of all, and then the heat wave hit and I didn't do any work on this, and then I came back to this. The heat has eased. The last time we spoke, I was talking about I had to do the shaping. Yeah, and you know how in the previous episode I said something along the lines of, I can just about keep track of the cables, but keeping track of the decreases is probably beyond me at the moment. Yeah, it definitely was beyond me at that moment, and it turns out subsequently because I'd done it wrong. So I think I misinterpreted the instructions. It said to decrease every third row, and I did 3 rows and then a decrease and then counted 3 rows as opposed to counting 1, 2, decrease on the third, 1, 2, decrease on the third. That, of course, means that you are alternating whether you're decreasing on a right or wrong side row. And I'd forgotten that that was part of it when I made the first one. And I had a little bit of a moment where I was like, oh God, do I redo which one is wrong? Before I figured this out. And then I realised that one of the instructions was once you've completed the shaping to continue knitting until it matches the length of the back. So I compared them both to the length of the back, and it's this one that's too long, and that was when I realised my mistake. So I'm going to have to rip it back and redo all the shaping. So it'll have to come back probably to about there. Don't have the heart to rip it out yet. But I'm noticing things about myself at the moment in terms of my projects. I keep losing momentum on things when things get hard. And I have previously not been that sort of person. Normally, I have the stubbornness and the determination of an ox. So if things go wrong, I want to rip it out and fix it immediately. Currently, I just can't face it. So it's not the only project. I've also got the bra still on hold where I don't know what to do, it's not that I don't know what to do. Well, with the bra, I don't know what to do. With this one, I know what I have to do. I just don't want to do it, and I'm struggling to be able to make myself do it. Having finished the back panel of the 1940s cardigan, and I need to cast on again for the fronts. I'm not thrilled by that prospect either, and I don't really know why. Like, why am I getting in my own way of doing this hobby that I love? I'm like, oh, I've got to start knitting. Ugh. It's so bizarre, but for whatever reason, I'm struggling with that at the moment. So what I'm going to do, are you ready? On camera, so you can hold me accountable. Now I just have to remember where I actually need to rip back to, so I'll get the pattern. Doop-a-doop, fronts. So we need 41 stitches, that should help. It's the thing with these cables, they don't make frogging easy. And I'm not the sort of person to... How many joins are there? Did I miss that? Anyway, there's a join there. I'm not the sort of person that I will steam this yarn before I reknit it. If I was, going to put it away in the stash, I might steam it and skein it up again. But if I'm about to reknit it like this, I'm not bothering. I'm not steaming it. I'm not getting rid of the crinkles. I really don't mind that much. So yeah, I think I'm aiming for here. It's the thing, probably won't take me that long to redo this. I am gonna split this off into 2 balls. As I sit here doing this, I thought I would also tell you about, you can't see behind me, but one of the things I am working on behind the scenes currently is getting my knitting machine working. It's not going brilliantly. I've had some successes and some failures, but some parts of it are usable and workable, which is really exciting. I'm really looking forward to getting started on some knitting machine projects and sharing that with you. And one of the things that I thought, oh my gosh, this would be a perfect job for the knitting machine, would be to knit stockinette sleeves on a men's cardigan, right? That's the sort of perfect job for machine knitting, because all that worked flat 2 at a time sleeve gubbins with all those, keeping track of all those increases and everything, does not fill me with joy. And the fact that that's the next step basically in this cardigan, oh god, it's gonna be a real slog. And I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to it. And I thought, oh, well, if I can do that on the knitting machine, that would be amazing. So I made a gauge swatch, and unfortunately I can't do it on the knitting machine. The gauge, this is Aran weight wool, and I have a standard gauge knitting machine. And so I hoped that I could achieve the right tension, because despite this being thicker than double knit weight, and my machine kind of tends to only really go up to double knit weight, it's knit on 4mm needles, so it's knit densely. So I was sort of like, oh, well, double knit 4mm needles, that seems to be the maximum of my knitting machine, maybe I can make it work. But unfortunately I can't. The gauge is too tight and I can't loosen it anymore. It's at the maximum. So alas, I will have to hand knit these stockinette sleeves. But it is one of the things, there are some things that I would like to make for my wardrobe, or that I would like in my wardrobe, that I have no desire to hand knit. And one of those is a really simple black cardigan. I'm never going to knit that by hand, partly because I like to layer my cardigans, not with multiple cardigans, but obviously I like to wear things underneath them. I then like to put a coat on. So I don't like my cardigans to be a really heavy weight, hence the 2-ply one I'm knitting. And I was like, well, a 2-ply black cardigan would be so versatile in my wardrobe. But the reality is I'm not going to be knitting at 9 stitches to an inch an entire cardigan, but I reckon I can probably get that gauge on the knitting machine. So wouldn't that be a great knitting machine project to try? Anyway, am I there yet? 38, 39, no. Hello. It's very hot. I don't feel very well. And if you watched my Rain Cape series, you will know about my back injury that I am dealing with. So I'm not really well enough to do anything currently, but I thought I'd try and do some filming and at least talk about some of the things I've been thinking about in terms of stash busting. So let's start with my Aran cardigan. Well, the Aran cardigan for Woody, because I think the last bit I filmed I was casting on for the sleeves, and I've made good progress for on the sleeves. I'm at the point where I've done all the increasing, I've knit them to the required length, and I've just started decreasing. Now, I was doing them 2 at a time, but as you can see, I've taken this one off and I've put a rescue line in here. And this is because I only have 2 balls of wool left. So I have 100 grams plus whatever this much is left. And I still have to knit a neckband. So I'm nervous about running out. Now, this pattern, this vintage pattern, gives a length to knit to. So it says knit till the sleeves are 17.5. They are nowhere near long enough. Oh, you can't see that. They're not long enough. Trust me. And I was really starting to panic about running out of yarn. And then I thought what I would do is I would put in a rescue line. Hang on. The logic of this is I'm explaining in the wrong order. I'm worried my sleeves are too short. I checked my gauge. I'm not getting gauge on this that is recommended in the pattern. I'm getting 8 rows to an inch. Or I think that it was 13 rows to 2 inches was the recommended gauge. And so about 6.5 rows per inch is what they recommend. On the back, which I've already knit and blocked, I'm getting 7 rows to an inch. I could probably stretch it more if I wanted to, but I don't want to. So I'm confident I can get 7 rows to an inch on the sleeves. So what I've done is I knit however many rows, 7 rows to an inch. To get 17.5 would be, I'm not going to do the maths. I just knit it and I figured it out and was like, yeah, that will work. That'll be long enough. Just to be on the safe side, I've put in a rescue line on this one and I took this one off the needles, so that what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the shaping for the top of this one. I am then going to knit the button band. Well, no, I'm going to do the shaping for this one, wade this one before blocking to see how much yarn I would need to finish this one, knit the button band. If I then have enough yarn left to finish the second sleeve, I will finish the second sleeve. If not, what I will do is I will undo the button band and finish the second sleeve and try and find some more yarn to finish the button band or use something different. That's my plan. Similarly, if I've got enough yarn and it's all fine and I come back and I block these and they're not long enough, I'll come back to my rescue line, knit them a bit longer and then redo the sleeve shaping. Because there's no point making Woody a cardigan where the sleeves are too short. Now, if I do need to buy more yarn, it's going to be quite a mission to find it. I have seen some in my local charity shop that was a different colourway. Not ideal. So I'm hoping I can look online and find some. Many of you have helped me out in pickles like this before, so stay tuned to see if I need your help again. But it seems like this was a pretty common yarn, so I think I'll be able to find some. Maybe I'll start doing some research just in case. If not, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe try and find a modern equivalent. Don't really want to have to undo the whole sweater. All hypothetical currently, no point worrying about it. Like 100 and maybe 10 grams to finish 2 sleeves and knit a button band seems like it should be enough. But then this is Aran weight. And I'm knitting it at a dense gauge. We just have to see. We just have to see. So that's that one. I've currently come to the end of my ball of wool that I was knitting for this one, so I will have to crack into the next one. But I think I should probably get quite a way into the sleeve shaping with what I have left here. So maybe I should work on this one instead. That's probably a better idea, isn't it? I suppose I can pick up the stitches again. Anyway, if you have any suggestions about what I should do here, I could make a spreadsheet. I know I could do maths and make a spreadsheet and figure it out. And once upon a time I would have done that. However, currently, oh fuck, I forgot to take my tablets. No wonder I feel so shit. Hold on. Got to take my painkillers. This is your reminder to take your medication if you need it. It's a new day. I'm just wearing the same clothes. You know how yesterday I was like, oh, I'm going to do this really complicated thing with my sleeves to make sure that they'll be long enough and make sure I have enough yarn. I put my other sleeve back on the needles so I could carry on knitting it with the bit that actually had some yarn left. And I was sat there like, oh my God, why don't I just block it now? Why don't I just put one of these back on hold, block this section to make sure it will block to the length I need, and then I don't need to worry about seeing at the end whether I need to unpick it and redo it. I'll know now. I'll know now whether it's definitely long enough or not, and then I can just carry on knitting. I mean, I'll still have to figure out about the button band and stuff, but like, I can just block it now. Do you know, I would like to take this moment to personally thank Roxanne Richardson for making me a bit better knitter, because this is the sort of thing that would never even have crossed my mind that I was allowed to do, or was a thing that might work or could be a possibility for me, until I started watching Roxanne's channel. I just thought, you know, knitting was sort of witchcraft, and I just had to keep going and hope for the best and suffer, right? No. I can just put this in some water with a little bit of detergent, stretch it, leave it to dry, check that it stays that size, and not have to worry about this anymore. Then I just have to worry about running out of yarn. Because what I could also do, one of the other aspects of this is, if I'm able to block this longer than 17.5 inches, I can undo some rows and get some yarn back that I'm drastically getting short on. That does, however, mean that I can't do any more knitting on this while I'm here. So I think that means I'm going to have to work on the shawl instead. But still, like, oh, and I think several people suggested when I asked what I should do about the Hexie Puff quilt, several people suggested that I take the shawl back to Woody's and then knit hexie puffs whenever I'm here. That's probably what I'm going to do. I'll take the shawl back with me to Woody's and I'll keep that in my rotation of projects I'm working on there, because I'm working on several at once. Does mean I have to find the next ball of yarn. I think I've got enough. Oh, I better do that before I get comfy again. So I have blocked and measured the other sleeve and it is barely able to get to 17.5. So I do think I need to do a few more rows, but like we're talking maybe 1/4 of an inch. So I think a turn, a right side row and a wrong side row should be enough. That's Woody. Anyway, yes. So I just need to rip this back and do 2 more rows and I think then the sleeves will be fine. And I don't think that's going to make a massive difference to my yarn dilemmas. I have looked for more of this patterns capstan, plenty of it online, none of it in this shade. So typical, isn't it? Anyway, I think I'll start unpicking and then just work on this sleeve while the other one dries. See how we go. Welcome to a new angle because Woody built me a desk. And look, you ready? It's height adjustable. I have no excuse to have a bad back anymore. Anyway, first and foremost, let's talk about Woody's cardigan, seeing as he's made me a desk for a cardigan. I don't know whether it's a fair trade or not, but I have finished knitting all the pieces and they're blocked. And I amazingly was able to block them just before the rain started. We are well into September now and it's been, well, it's probably right for September, but compared to other Septembers that we've had recently, it's very shocking to have this much rain. Anyway, so I've got my fronts blocked, lovely jubbly, back and the other front and the other sleeve. Love it. I have started working on the button band, which is knit separately and then stitched on. And I cast on and sort of went on my merry way. And then I actually read the instructions and they have you sew it on to the front edge as you knit it so that you make sure that it's the right length. And I was like, oh, okay then. So I stopped that, blocked the other pieces, and then I went to sew them up. I didn't have a darning needle, a tapestry needle, a yarn needle big enough to fit this Aran weight wool from. And it's probably been a week that I've been meaning to go home and find one. I keep forgetting, so I finally did that yesterday. I've got a needle that's an appropriate size. I've got plenty of yarn for sewing up in my various ends and joins and things. So yeah, it's time to sew up the cardigan and then finish the neckband. So I'm so close to being done on this, but because I still have knitting to do, I can't really count the yarn off the stash just yet. However, I do have another finished object to show you. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Hang on. Ta-da! So I haven't blocked it yet. I have woven in the ends, but I haven't trimmed them yet because I learnt to trim them after you block them. And that way they don't felt in, but they sort of are less likely to come undone. But what do we think? Right. It's good. It's good. It's been a really long time since I've been, this excited by a accessory make I've made. I'd sort of forgotten that I do really like knitting shawls. And more importantly, I really like wearing shawls. And I have a couple in rotation in my collection that are you okay there? I have a couple in my wardrobe that I really like and I wear a lot. this one will become a new favourite because it's different to any of the, in style, to any of the others I have. So I don't have one that's this sort of long and thin, that it's almost a scarf, but it is acceptably shawl-like. I just love it. It's just brilliant. I can't recommend this pattern highly enough. Not only is it really well written, really easy to adjust to your yarn, an excellent stash buster because of the made to yarn instructions, very easy to adapt and modify. However you like to knit, whatever sort of instructions work for you, charts, written instructions, they've got you covered. It's just brilliant. It's just brilliantly well done. I'm glad I didn't make it any longer. I think that would have been too long. But oh my God. It's just heaven. It's just everything I would want. My one dilemma now is how I block it, because previously when I've knit really big shawls, I've hung them on the washing line. I've pegged them on the washing line. Being garter stitch, this is very stretchy and I don't want to do that. But you might be able to see that my cabled edge is particularly sort of fluty. Can you see that? So I suppose I could fold it in half and try and block it. Maybe I just try and steam block it. I do want to wash it because I found from my experience with using this Camel Holzer yarn, don't make me say the full name, it improves with washing. Softens a little. So do I just stick it in the washing machine and dry it flat, try my best sort of thing? Why are we still standing up? This is bad pacing. Hang on. I didn't even get my other tripod. I just used the desk because I can. So do I just wash it like it's a knit garment and dry it flat and not try to pin it because I'm worried about stretching it out? Your input would be helpful there, so leave me a comment if you know what to do or have a suggestion. In terms of stash busting, got my scales here. This is how much yarn I have left. Now, I'm a little worried because I had to change the batteries in these scales, and because my mother raised me right, I did a test to see how accurately these are weighing by like weighing a bag of flour. So they might be weighing a bit heavy, and I've been running around finding other things, like I've got a packet of chocolate here. Yeah, everything's coming up a bit heavy, so I'm a bit nervous and I don't really know how else I can recalibrate them. So let's give it a go. Anyway, so that I originally had 3 skeins of this, I've used 2 whole skeins and I have this much left. So at least 2 is coming off the total. And yes, not only is the desk height adjustable, it's also stained blue so that it's better for filming. So see what I mean? 0 grams. This is supposed to be 125 grams. My Aldi chocolate, 144. Now obviously it's in a cardboard box and it says 5 times 25, so that's not the end of the world, but the flour in the paper bag was also significantly over. So let's see. Oh, 12 grams. And these were 50 gram skeins, balls. So I can confidently, 13. So do we want to call that 3/4? Half of 50 would be 25. Yeah, so let's call it 3/4. Because even if this is a bit heavy, with rounding, it should work out. So as usual, I couldn't remember where we were up to, so I went and looked at my previous video and also went to look at the spreadsheet that made me remember that I started for my stash. So we were at 124 balls of wool and we are taking off 2.75 balls of wool, leaving us at 121.25 balls of wool or balls of yarn at the end of this episode. I'm really excited because I think it's 14 that I will have used, or maybe 13. Between 13 and 14 that I will have used for Woody's cardigan. I'm obviously still working on my 2-ply jumper project. Actually, I've started on the fronts. Would you like to see them? I've been doing them 2 at a time, which did mean that I had to wind off some yarn from my cone. I love knitting with 2-ply. I'm enjoying this one. The stripes are a bit of a headache, and I have made some mistakes in the stripes and had to unpick them. But I've finished the back, 2 fronts, sort of half done, not quite half done, maybe like a third done, and then the sleeves and a band, and we'll have a cardigan. The thing, of course, about 2-ply is that it doesn't weigh very heavy, so even though I will have knitted a whole cardigan, can probably count maybe like 200 grams off the stash, 4 balls of wool or something like that. So this one is not very helpful in getting to under 100. Woody's cardigan will be a lot more helpful in getting to under 100. I've got the bra project on hold, but I'm thinking that I'm going to need to start, if let's hope for the best and say I use 14 balls of wool, we'll sort of be at the 106 ballpark. I don't think I have another sweater's quantity of yarn apart from in 2-ply. Well, actually I have some Aran that I got from the estate sale. It's not really a sweater's quantity though, and I'm just not the sort of person that wears what I would call pullovers or slipovers, knitted vests. So what I do to get under 100 next, I'm not sure. It is, of course, nearly gift knitting season, so maybe I make some gifts. Got to go back to mum and dad's and have a look at what I've got. Maybe I knit up my mohair that I bought on holiday from the canal trip. I'm not sure. For now, I'm just so pleased with my finished shawl. Thanks for watching. See you next time.